Dear AJ and her sisters, I came from an impoverished background, and I've had to work multiple jobs to gain, access to the university and be able to pay for it. However, when I got to the university finally 5 years ago, I was very strapped for cash as my menial jobs weren't providing enough. And a lot of the men I met who were capable of helping me rather wanted to sleep with me in exchange for helping me. So my roommate convinced me that instead of struggling, I should take up their office and do what we term as hookup business, where I randomly hook up with men in exchange for large sums of money. Fast forward, I have generated enough to start my own business and even build a house. And I finally met a man I love. We're planning to marry in April, and he finally introduced me to his family. Imagine my horror when I met my fiance's father and I realized I've done hookup with him before. Now, the worst thing is not the fact that I have, is that he's asking for one more night and he'll pay me a huge sum of money and then leave me alone to marry his son because, in his opinion, I was the best he's ever had and has been dreaming of me since then. He says I must rock his world one more time, else he will destroy my world.
Nice.
What should I do?
The devil is alive.
Rock his world or he destroys my world? That's a very interesting statement. Hookup business has now landed her in a hookup from hell. Rosie, you were doing Odeshi.
My head is hurting.
Your head is headaching you, eh?
Yeah.
Very, very necessary. What are your opinions about this story?
To start with, you see, there's no free lunch. I keep saying this. I mean, she said on the right foot, if your jobs could get you to school, they could very well get you through school and even out of school. She was looking for the quick fix. And that's what's landed her where she is. And there are people who have been smarter about it. They did a quick fix with probably one person.
Yeah. Consistently
one person for a period. It's okay to explain a relationship with one person than a hookup. Because that hookup is a fine word for a prostitute.
Yeah. Basically.
So far as you are doing it and putting a price tag on the action, I'm not talking about people paying you, but as in you're putting a price tag on the action, huge sums of money. It's just a sweet word for what is. You know what I mean? So that's a price you have to pay. If it wasn't your father-in-law, it would probably be your boss somewhere, or someday you've become big, they've asked you to come and give a motivational talk show, and then you are seeing your hookups, you know. And I don't know. It's something that a lot of ladies need to know. I need to be very careful who you drop your knickers for, how often you drop them, and the reasons why you decide to drop them.
The consequences thereof.
And whatever consequences there are, you should be prepared to deal with them. And the consequence, this is actually the least of consequences. This is a man who's been willing to keep quiet, but there's diseases.
Yeah.
There are soul ties. There are people who will just damage you for life just because you've touched them. Now let's move on to her peculiar story. For a man who truly loves his son, he may understand that whilst you were in school, you were desperate. Because before you did the hookup, you probably gave him a story. So he was willing to hook up with you and give you that sum of money. So he needs to make sure that his son's wife is still not hooking up.
Wow.
Whilst I was in uni,
That was happening.
that was a phase. And it's a phase I truly regret. And if I could give anything to take it back, I would. And I think that going through this process with you would make you feel that is the kind of person I am. And that's not the person I'm not. That's not the kind of person I am. I have moved on. I have regretted my actions deeply. And I have paid the price. So this is it. If you want to keep it, that's fine. If not, then I think that I would have to have a conversation with your son.
And your wife.
No, with your son. If you're saying your wife, you are trying to tell him that if you do me, which I will do you. It's like a day. I'll have a conversation with your son and report myself. Because the kind of love that your son and I share, I believe transcends all of this. And I believe that your son is a good person worth sacrificing all this for. So I'm sorry, I will not be able to do X and Y, Z with you. When you do that, in as much as even if the man had intentions of just, he would have some underlying form of respect for you. If he goes ahead and tells his son, it is because his ego has been bruised.
Yes.
Not because he lacks respect for you. And if his son is somebody who truly loves you and knows that that was a phase in your life and knows you differently, you'll be surprised how much you put that behind him. Of course, there'll be a bit of disturbance, a bit of discourse here and there, but you'll be surprised how much he'll be willing to put that behind him because he now knows your true substance. Sijo says something that we underestimate the love that a man can have for a woman he truly wants. It's different if he's still doing it. But if he found out that you went ahead and slept with his father to cover up the initial hookup,
It's worse.
that one, I don't see him forgiving you for. I don't see any man who has a love that can transcend that.
Yeah.
Because now you know, this is my father. And you still did hook up with him because you know what, that's your nature. You can't stop doing it.
Yeah,
You
trying to cover up
understand?
a
So
lie.
for me, this is what I would tell her, that look, Charlie, forget the hookup. It's in your past. Let it stay in your past. Don't fall into this trap. This trap is huge, it's big, and this trap has sharp teeth. It will dig into your very essence. Run away from it. And if you feel like his threat of coming to tell him is very huge, look, either you run and go and tell him about the father, or run and go and tell him about that aspect of your life that you did some few things that you regretted. Few. I'm not saying go and give your body count. I'm saying few.
You see this story. She's rocked his world one time. He wants to be rocked again. Or he will bring the entire world crumbling down. What are your thoughts about the story?
The thing is, if he is ready for her to rock his world one last time, and it's even better than the previous one, after she's married,
You ask for
he'll
more.
ask for more.
Exactly.
So, however you want to look at it, like I always say, it's essential for you to build every relationship on trust. You can't run away. Sooner or later, it will come up. Your father-in-law could decide to blackmail you your entire marriage. No peace of mind. You'll always be looking behind you, and then you won't enjoy the beauty and the peace of mind that comes with marriage, because at every point in time you wonder, is your husband actually going to find out from his father? Am I going to get divorced after 2 kids? Is he finally going to say something? Are you going to continue servicing both father and son for the rest of your life? Because he was not going anywhere. Now more than ever, in terms of proximity, you're even closer.
Yeah.
He can even say, oh, I'm coming home to visit my son and my daughter-in-law. You'll be there, he'll be smooching you in the toilet, smooching you in the kitchen, and then his son is going to come and bump into you. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So I just feel like, have a conversation with him. Okay, call him. I don't know how you used to call him, sugar daddy or baby dad, or not baby dad.
Zazie.
No, but this is a hookup. So Zaddy,
Yes, daddy.
But you need to be assertive, and you need to be serious, and you need to let him know that this is a very important phase in my life. I love your son to bits. This is what I used to do. Like Rosie was saying, this is what I used to do because I needed to sort out a few things in my life. It was a phase in my life, which I don't condone to, but clearly, I'm saying that I don't condone, but clearly just point it out to him and tell him that you're no longer there. It was in your past. You've decided to move on. Hence you meeting his son and you falling in love with his son. Hence you want to do right by God, want to do right by his son, and even want to do right by him as a father-in-law, because you want to establish that relationship, that cordial, respectful relationship between him and you. Because as far as I'm concerned, he is as equally guilty as you are.
Exactly.
Because you could also go up straight and tell your son that, technically, this guy has been unfaithful to his wife, who happens to be the son's mother.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about? We're both guilty, but I don't want you to go down that route, but just know that at least you have a few cards to your chest. Get that clear to him. If still he's like, no, I don't want to hear anything. I have to have my way with you. Either than that, I'm going to tell my son and all of that. At least you know. So you do sharp. You look sharp.
And you're going to do the first.
And be the first to tell your husband to be. So that it will not be the father telling him, but it will be coming from you. Tell him and let him know that this was my past. It's no longer there. I'm no longer that person. I had to do this because of X, Y, and Z. As much as possible, you're telling him the truth, but just know that it's going to be hard on him to take, because Charlie, his father, but let him know that this is what it is, and allow him to decide. It's very important to let him decide, because when you let him decide, when he's coming back, he's decided, okay, I forgive you for what you've done. It's not a topic, it's not a thing for us to even talk about. Things happen, and I appreciate you telling me, but can we move on? Do you understand? And when he says, oh, I can't believe that you actually did that. How could my father do this to me? At least you know. You back out while you still can. It's painful, it's tough, but at least you have your peace of mind. You know in your heart that you've done right by God. You've done right by him. You've given him the opportunity to know exactly what happened in your life. And then at least you know, at the end of, whether it's good, whether it's bad, you still need to know, and you need to know what you're up against. Because however you want to look at it, this father-in-law is permanently going to be in your life. After you have kids, when he dies, you have to be at his funeral. Like, you can't push it away.
I'd like us to explore that point, but I'll come to Sitcho to hear her points on this particular story, because I want us to also dovetail at some point to the men, because she highlighted something about how a lot of the men that she would go to for help, who were in the position to help her,
exactly,
wanted something in return. But we'll come to that. Sitcho, your initial point about the story.
First of all, let me take it from the man. He's a pervert to start with. He's a shameful, unfaithful man, especially if he's still married at this point. He could be divorced at this point and could be the reason why he's asking for what he's asking for. Otherwise, he's a pervert and a shameful man. Now, moving on to the girl. I don't want to look at this any other way than the fact that if this were me, this is how I'm going to look at it. If this were me, I'm not going to beg this man. Look, if a man wanted to know, if he himself is clean now at that point where he's speaking, my sister Rosie mentioned something about the fact that he could be testing you. If he wanted to test you, he could have used any of his other friends to probably call you and try to hook up with you and see if that would work and see if you're still in that kind of lifestyle. But for him to request for this and even add the fact that you were the best, you rocked his world, he's a pervert. Now, with a person like that, this is how I'm going to deal with him. I'd say to him, listen, it's either you keep this to yourself and between the two of us that this happened and it's never going to happen again, because this was at a point in my time or at a phase in my life where I was going through this, and unfortunately I got lured into this kind of lifestyle for a brief moment and then I got out of it. But if you're not going to understand that, I'm going to call a family meeting where your wife is involved, your son is involved. I'm not even going to tell you when. You will be seated in that meeting and I will tell the truth to everyone, and I will work out whether if your son does not want me anymore, I'm ready to leave it at that. Sometimes you need to let people know what cards you have and how you are willing to use it to your benefit. Because I think a lot of people think that because you don't know what cards you have and because you cannot use it, then they now tend to use that against you or to use that as a bargaining chip to blackmail you. And that's not fair on anyone. Life happens to everyone and people make wrong decisions at points in their lives. We are not condoning but it is what it is. Some of us, unfortunately, for example, went to have children in some relationships that we shouldn't have gotten into in the first place. But should people judge us for that? No. So I don't like to allow other people to judge people based on a certain point in their lives where they made mistakes also. Look, I always say that if not for the grace of God, there are certain things we all would have done that we didn't, because probably one, the opportunity didn't present itself. One, problems didn't present themselves in that way that we would have also done the same things that other people did. And so we sit here on our high horses and think life went, or we are perfect, or life went on a certain path, or we were just good kids and we didn't do that. No, problems did not present themselves like that to you. And that's why you didn't choose the route you chose.
True.
You know? So, unfortunately, that's what I would have done. I would call his bluff, one, and then I'll put it to him that this is what I would do. If you're ready for it, let's go. And then right after that discussion, I'll go and tell the guy.
Okay.
What's there to lose, really? We have already established the fact that when a guy loves you, there is no telling how far they would go for you.
Right.
Now, again, I will hammer on this. And for all girls to know that sometimes these things present themselves for you to just know how much someone loves you, how far they are willing to go for you. And as a matter of fact, you should know if someone loves you that much to want to enter into a marriage with them. If not, look, there are 1,000,001 men out there. Let's stop making it look like marriage is the price. Yes, is the end. Therefore, if I do not marry, or if I do not marry this particular guy, I'm done and dead.
But hold on, when the man was chasing the woman, was the woman a virgin? Okay.
Good point.
And as a matter of fact, we should tell that this man has not even stopped sleeping around with other hook.
For me, the only reason why I wasn't going to subscribe to the wife coming in is because, you see, if the man is the pervert as he truly is, the wife probably knows. I will not be threatened by leaving the husband.
Not to threaten.
No, hold on, let me finish. I'm not so to threaten him. The wife, I'm saying, will not be coerced into leaving him or causing chaos. If anything at all, because the wife is used to the man's behavior, probably normalized it, or is probably okay with it, because in the end, if the wife catches him cry, he gives him a gift or two. Maybe the wife will now extend his venom towards you as a one person who sleeps with married men all over the place. And that's what I'm saying that, look, you have to be very tactful in bringing the wife of the man in. That's why I'm saying that, look, there's nothing wrong with standing on your own dignity. The fact that you've admitted that, look, I've done wrong. But now I'm not the person you used to know. I'm a different breed. What you are saying, I won't subscribe to it, and I will not. If you want to tell your son, fine. You yourself, go and tell your fiancé that, look, listen, there was a time in my life. Now we are getting married. You've introduced me to your parents. I think we're serious now. So now I think it's right for me to tell you certain things. There was a time in university, I came from very humble beginnings. I did all the works, everything, but things got really tough. And I needed to do certain things I'm not proud of now for a period. Maybe say a year, 2 years, just to make sure that I got my way through school and all that. I look back, I'm not happy about it. I'm not proud about it. I'm now a new person. So this is an aspect of my life I want you to know about and keep at the back of your mind. Now you can even tell it to him and leave it at that without names. If the man comes to tell the son, oh, that's why he looked very familiar. I thought he was one of them, but I wasn't sure. That's just by the side. But I'm just saying that you can actually, look, I believe in letting the men know certain things that could, look, right now, I don't know what about me in my past you can tell my husband that he doesn't know already. He'll give you more filler than you think you have. And that's what makes me very comfortable talking about myself and my past. Because you can't hear what I tell about myself and go and tell him and you'll be in shock. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. So sometimes it's important, once you realize that the relationship is getting to a certain level,
you need to just
you don't need sometimes even what I'm not saying full disclosure, but
you can let them know,
put it in a way that, see, at some point in time I was very bad, I was messed up, I was psychologically this, psychologically that, or I went through a phase where I had to depend on this, depend on that. So take them through the phases of your life. That way, even if they hear something, you can easily insert them into pockets of faces that you have told them. You understand? But bringing the wife into it only complicates issues, because now the wife will not be helping the son against you. Mothers and sons, you know how they are. So you think that you are doing the man. If the woman has not left the man now, the woman is settled in the pervertic ways of the husband. And I'm not saying that it's a do or die to be with the man. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to say is that even with the man's good intentions to be with you, it's easier to deal with an issue between two people than when it becomes 3, 4, 5 people. So I'd rather you go to your boyfriend, discuss the issue with him, deal with you and your boyfriend. That way, when your boyfriend even wants to forgive you, he's only forgiving one person. He doesn't have to confirm his forgiveness with his mother or confirm his forgiveness with his father. It's him and you. So I don't subscribe to bringing too many people in the discourse. It's best if you and that person deal with the discourse. That way, solution is also quick, faster, few people involved, it's quick. But once you threaten the man, the woman, let's say you actually go through with it, and you say it, the man will be angry. Hey, Kojo, Papa, I didn't know, yes, sir. I didn't know, yes, sir. After they will go away, then they'll do all the skirmishes. But after 1 month, they'll still be going for family meetings together.
Yeah.
Then you now look like now the husband, your boyfriend too, even though he loves you and he adores you,
when it comes
it becomes difficult. Like he has to now try and manage his mother
and his father
and you. That's what I'm saying. Look, listen, no credit about Kope. Go ahead, let your boyfriend, now that you know that he's moving to the next level, let him know the various phases of your life. You don't have to be so detailed, but let him know the various phases of your life so he doesn't get shocked.
Exactly. If you have a crazy boyfriend in the past, you just speak about, or you have certain issues, just speak about a crazy boyfriend. Every time someone pops up, hey, you know what, that crazy boyfriend
I told you about.
It's a great way to get out of any relationship. But then, speaking of the men in this situation, where and we've heard quite a bit these days. We've had scandals about it recently, where the men
quite a bit, AJ.
The men are placed in positions of power. Are capable of helping the woman. Instead of helping the woman, asks for something in return.
Sex.
Likely. And sort of coerce you into either shutting up and enduring it or having to walk away from a better life. And it's gotten to a point where after they realize, and we can assume that in this situation, after she realized, you know what, just shut up and get it done. Then you see the benefits of just shutting up and getting it done. And you make a whole, I could say, career out of just shutting up and getting it done. And fast forward, it comes to bite you in the ass. But ordinarily, you didn't want that life. You were very, very happy to work for that life. But the opportunities to work were presented with caveats. And this has led her down this little rabbit hole that she now finds herself in. Now, it feels as if a lot of times men are able to escape this bubble. A lot of ladies in hookup business are not there because
they are enjoying it.
It's largely financial constraints. Financial constraints which can be solved because one person can be benevolent enough to say, you know what, I'll give you a scholarship. But it's never, I'll give you a scholarship. It's always, I'll give you a scholarship, but
in return, for something in return.
Shouldn't we be less judgmental of people in certain situations?
That's a tough question to answer. The reason why I say that is because over a long period of time, we have allowed and given men the opportunity to behave the way they do. Even you find mothers encouraging their daughters to actually go out there and sleep with men so that they'll be able to make ends meet. And it doesn't make it right, because every time they can, the men give the women literally all that they need in order to say no. And the situation makes it such that you really can't say no. But we must start from somewhere. Okay, we must start from somewhere. That must not be the only solution.
I like that. Thank you, ladies.